What's going on, guys? Seth and Chevy here. We just watched episode 3 of season 1 of Delicious in Dungeon. We're going to be going full spoilers ahead, so hopefully you've watched this episode, and we'll do a real quick recap. And it is pretty straightforward. Basically, the party runs into a bunch of living armor in a room. They are challenged by them, and they have to come up with a strategy on how to defeat them. So they basically distract the living armor, which is just basically armor that walks around on its own, knock pieces off, it reattaches and keeps fighting. They're trying to figure out what's powering this living armor. Is it magic? Is there like a sorcerer nearby? Whatever. They try to figure that out as they're distracting them. Laios goes into a room and finds what he assumes is the boss of the living armor, lion-headed living armor that he ends up getting into a fight with. Ends up finding out that the living armor is being controlled by mollusks that are in the seams and joints of the armor, kind of attaching to each other to create the movement of the living armor. And so he realizes that you can just kill them individually from each piece of armor, and you basically destroy it. Earlier in the episode, he had speculated that you could eat living armor from a past event where he had died from living armor. I'm still curious about how that works in this world. And they all thought he's stupid because they're like, it's not a living thing. It's magic. You can't eat it. What are you going to eat, the metal?
Yeah.
And he was very dedicated to eating the living armor. Finding out that it's being controlled by living entities made him very excited, and he pushed the idea of trying it out. So, of course, Senshi is down to try that out as well, even though he's never done it before. They end up trying multiple techniques, steaming the living armor. There's a couple other ones. Grilling.
Pan frying, and soup.
Yep. And some of them work out, some of them don't. The steamed one tastes like mold, I guess. But the one that was basically almost like
grilled,
like a clam, was delicious, I guess. So, they ate the living armor. They've defeated the living armor, and they can move on. Is there anything I missed? There was a flashback.
He had a flashback of him and his sister fighting armor, and how he got his sword, which was from living armor. So.
Oh, and speaking of that, so he had a prior experience with living armor. I forgot what the scenario was. Something about gold.
He was in a party before he was a competent fighter of people who stripped gold off of buildings.
Yeah. And then the last part of the episode is he takes the sword from the lion armor because his original sword, I think the hilt or something, got loose.
No, it shattered the sword close to the hilt.
Shattered, but in the beginning it was kind of breaking.
The decoration fell off.
Yep. So he has replaced it with the armor's sword, but he saw that it had a living mollusk inside it still, and he did not tell anybody about it. So there's a new buddy in the party. Apparently, we will see where that goes in the next episode. Thoughts?
It was a fun episode. I like that we actually got some, not that the show needs action, but we got some action, and it
was pretty decent.
Felt like a Trigger show this time.
Yeah.
The whole show obviously is done by them, but the animation style they use for like faster movements was more on display.
This was the most Trigger feeling episode so far, because there was parts where it got kind of zany and like the fast motion combat and stuff like that, and I was like, there it is. That's Trigger.
Yeah, which I love.
Yeah.
Big reason I fell in love with their animation style in the first place. So, we got just another look into. You said Laios. He's like crazy obsessed about eating things to the point where he had like I can't remember the word they use for it over in Japan, but it's basically it translates to crackhead eyes, basically.
Yeah, he had that.
Yeah. Or for if you wanted more of a description, the pupils and the irises gets really small, and their eyes are big and wide. So, other than that, it was a pretty straightforward episode. I thought it was an interesting take to basically have a bunch of muscles living inside of the crevices of armor and joining together to basically create muscle tissue for an artificial body.
One of my favorite things about the show so far in the 3 episodes we've seen is it's kind of multi-layered in a really simple way. First off, it's a cooking anime, which I think is neat because they describe and talk about the technique and how they're making it, which I think is fun. But also, it's a D&D campaign that's being played out, but not just in an action way. They actually strategize and think about scenarios. We've seen this in all 3 episodes now, but in this episode, when they were trying to figure out how the living armor's working, it was even showing like visuals of what they were thinking about when it came to how it works, and this like magic user in the background who's controlling it. But then when he was thinking about like how the muscles work together, you actually saw this animation of them inside working as like a muscle system of a body,
and they were like reaching for each other.
Yeah, and so it's kind of neat to see what we're as the viewer thinking about, like, oh, what is it? But they're also doing the exact same thing. They mislead you, of course, because they don't want you figuring it out just yet. But once they figure it out, they're kind of there along with you in the whole reveal of it, which I think is a lot of fun. And I've seen that in like every episode so far, because in the last episode with the traps, they're trying to figure out the traps and how to get the oil out, and there's funny stuff to that.
Right.
Yes, you got the cooking, you got the adventure aspect of it where they're strategizing, and then also just like the layers of how they're thinking about things, which I think is a lot of fun. So this episode had a lot of that. It reminds me a lot of a D&D campaign, because like when you're playing D&D and they propose the situation, before you start rolling, you start talking with everybody. You're like, okay, so that guy's over here, I'm going to try this. Like, no, well, if you do that, he might do this. It's like,
Right.
okay, maybe I should do that. They do that in the show, which I think is kind of cool, because they're talking about what they're going to do to try and figure out where the dude's at before they went back into the
Right.
room
When
to
they had
fight
the
the armor.
strategy meeting.
Yeah. And so it reminds me of D&D a lot, and I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I also really enjoy just how expressive the characters are, which again, I think is a very trigger thing.
Oh, yeah.
But specifically, even like, I can't remember her name, like Marcille, I think her name is, the
Marcille, yeah.
Yeah, the elf. She's very expressive. Like even her ears move and stuff like that. It's kind of reminiscent of like a puppy, but it's fun because like they have very good emotions being shown on their faces, including even like the little halfling dude. Like he's real expressive too. The only person who's not expressive is the dwarf.
Except in this episode, we got a little bit of expression from him, which I thought was funny when Laios tried out
when they're eyeballing, make sure it wasn't poisoned.
Yeah, when they handed it to him, he's just looking at it, and they're all looking at him like, go ahead, eat it.
Yeah.
You wanted to eat this so bad.
Yeah.
And then while he's eating it, they're like, how long does it take for food poisoning to
Yeah.
happen? If he dies, we just leave him here, right? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
No, yeah. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I am curious to how long I'll enjoy this part of it, but I've heard a couple people talk about the manga at this point, and not in like a detail way, but more of a like they're currently reading it and they think it's a lot of fun. So obviously it does go somewhere. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. So.
I've been surprised in the 3 episodes now how much they are sticking to the formula of just killing monsters and eating them, but also throwing in new scenarios that they got to figure out that are all pretty fleshed out and interesting every time, while also giving us little snippets of character to every character of their past and stuff like that. Like in the last episode, Marcille had that nightmare of her mom making her it might have been a flashback, but it kind of gave some perspective on like why she doesn't want to eat the monsters or whatever, because it grossed her out. And then some of the dialogue with Cholchuk. I don't remember.
Think so. I'm so bad with their names.
That's the only one I'm having problems with now. But we got a little bit of info with him last episode. In this episode, we got the flashback with Laios. Like it's and in the last episode too with Marcille, and how she basically felt like she wasn't needed in the party right now. But then
she's
Laios,
feeling useless, yeah.
But Laios kind of let her know that the dungeon's going to get harder. We're going to need your magic. And in this episode, we saw that her magic actually came in handy, because she was actually taking out armor, which is kind of cool. So yeah, it's really good at keeping things fresh while also giving us a little bit to chew on, but not too much. It doesn't need to be super deep.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, the first episode I was like, how long is this going to last? I was in the same mindset, but I think they're doing a really good job so far.
Well, I've watched plenty of shows too where like it can take a whole season to like get to the point. So
Vinland Saga.
a lot of shows. Like even like I love One Piece, but like the first like 30 episodes, I was like, okay, come on, and then finally I was like, oh, okay, I get it, and it clicked for me. So, could be a similar thing. I'm not that I'm not enjoying myself, but how long can I enjoy the current formula is my concern.
I'm still waiting with Attack on Titan. I'm just going through them like, come on.
Everyone says to get through the first season on that one. So
I should be done with it, but I just like I watch it sparingly.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean overall it's a good show. I am definitely still wanting to watch it.
Yeah, I'm pretty attached to this one at this point. I'll definitely keep watching it.
And I was happy to see some animation. Like, not that the show hasn't been animated, but like, Trigger's got a style, and is a big reason I watch all their shows. And we got a little bit of it this time. So
yeah, the first two episodes are a little tame. A lot of dialogue, which is fine. Some quick little shots in the second episode when they're fighting the basilisk. It was a lot of like freeze frame background movement, but it was just things screaming, and which is fine. I'm okay with that. It doesn't need to be anything crazy, but this episode definitely was a lot better in terms of movement, basically.
Yeah, I just really enjoy their like zany style.
Yeah,
so.
same. Yeah, even in Cyberpunk Edge Runners,
the cyberpsychosis and stuff is like real crazy.
There's a lot of really cool visual stuff. The Trigger, like you want to see that from Trigger because they have such a unique style. So, and it's been interesting to see this anime and its style being done by Trigger, and yeah, we finally got a little taste of that Trigger is indeed making this. So,
yeah, overall fun time.
Yeah, I pretty much have talked about a lot of this episode already, so I'll just kind of go through a couple things. I think it's a really good episode. It's probably my favorite episode of the show so far, even though I think the last episode was pretty good too, specifically the dungeon kitchen part. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
But this whole episode was pretty solid. I enjoyed the strategy element of it. I liked the mystery of it. I liked the whole episode basically had to do with one room and figuring it out, so that's kind of cool. Kind of felt like a Scooby-Doo mystery.
I mean, this kind of was too. So
yeah, the fight was fun to watch. Them trying to figure out how to defeat these things that can't die, basically, at least the way they originally viewed them. The whole scene with Laios fighting the line thing and kind of figuring it out as he went was a lot of fun as well. And then, of course, the cooking aspect is always fun. It's kind of the charming aspect of this show. I really enjoyed where everybody's judging Laios when he's eating. That was funny. A lot of really good humor. And yeah, saw some of that Trigger animation that we're looking for, which was cool to see as well. Gives me a hint at, we are going to get stuff like that in this show. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, really simple, which I appreciate, and solid episode. Definitely looking forward to the next episode because at this point we've had 3 episodes with a good variety of scenarios happening, and I'm looking forward to finding out what the next scenario is, especially if it's like this room-by-room basis thing that they're doing. I kind of like that we're kind of stepping through a D&D campaign. It's kind of cool. It reminds me so much of D&D because in D&D, like you walk in a room and it's a whole event. Same kind of thing here, so I'm liking that.
I'm also enjoying the fact that there's so much fantasy anime right now. It's weird. So
yeah, I haven't watched a whole lot of it, but it's weird because back in like the 90s, there's a lot of fantasy anime, and then for a while there, they kind of drifted away from it.
A lot of sci-fi.
Yeah. With that said, we do plan on watching some more of Solo Leveling, see if that kind of clicks for us, if we'll continue doing that, and then we're going to check out the Rouge one. Metallic Rouge, and then Buchigiri, because Sarah has said the first episode's really good, so we got to check that out as well. So look forward to those. But unless you have anything else to say on this episode, let us know in the comments what you guys thought of it. What were some of your favorite parts of it? And are you looking forward to watching the rest of it? And do you have any anime recommendations? We are pretty booked right now with things to check out and things that we're deciding to continue on with. But yeah, we'll definitely take recommendations if you have any. So, but I think that's everything for this review. Stay tuned. We have one coming up for Solo Leveling. I think we got 2 episodes to catch up on.
2.
So look forward to those. And yeah, we will see you on those ones.